So we'll kick it off. Why are you here? Why are we here? Thank you again for joining us. If you saw the marketing of today's webinar, which is about how do you go from the very first meeting with the prospect to then eventually getting a five-star client from that prospect who turned into a client because they were so happy with your process. How do you do that? And how do you do that with answer engine optimization, which is probably a buzzword, a keyword you've heard a lot by now, especially if you've been on any of my webinars, but also how do you do it with great technology and visuals like Asset Map? And so here I have Allison Sesko. She's the VP of Community at Asset Map, and she's dialing in from Pennsylvania. Allison, thank you so much for co-hosting this webinar with me.
Absolutely. I love doing a webinar with you, and I love doing a webinar with Wealthtender. And, I even learned a lot in our prep about, how advisors and really everyone should be optimizing, how they're being searched for and what shows up about them online. I really kind of stay in my lane here I'm in the asset map marketing team, but we have experts who really handle that in my department. And I'm, learning just as well as you, and, kind of picking up these tricks along the way because it's so important. And we all have our day jobs, right? But thinking about how we can boost, our own roles, our own jobs, our own companies through just really valuable reviews and searching is such a great topic. So I'm thrilled to be here along with you and see how Asset Map can actually help, kind of contribute to that.
Well, there's a reason we're doing this together, right? Because when you think about from the prospecting process to landing a client to getting a client to write a compliant review, one that you can go out and promote to attract more prospects to go back into that pipeline, if you will. This truly is the perfect combination. It's a flywheel, and that's another thing we mentioned in the marketing. And obviously, we all know how flywheels work, right? But it's just sort of feeding back into this loop, and you want that for your business. That's sustainability, that's scalability. It's also really simple when it's just like a two-part process. And that's what you're focused on, because both areas we're going to talk about today, there's a lot of content within. We're going to touch on like what's most important, what's going to be the most impactful in both the answer engine optimization space and also using technology and visuals like asset mapping or prospecting.
Oh,
So we
great.
did get one spring breaker comment. Thank you. Actually, we got a few here. I'm on the road heading back home to Winter Haven, Florida from spring break in Charleston, South Carolina. So beautiful.
Oh, good.
I'm in Tampa, so not too far.
Love it.
Um, all right. TJ says no spring break here either, but he's excited to tune in from Philly. We're all so busy. We're all working all the time.
I know, but everyone remember to take your breaks when you need them. That's
Yes.
just a side note. We're only as
So
good
true.
as the rest we take every once in a while. So it's always still a good reminder.
Yes. We have a good excuse. We're moving. Okay. That's a lot of work. Okay, let's kick this off. So I'm going to
Do it.
tee up essentially what's going on in the answer engine space,
Mm,
how are prospects finding and searching for and evaluating, comparing financial advisors, and then we're going to loop that into Asset Map, what it does, how it works. You'll see some visuals. You'll see the actual technology as well today. And then we'll kind of recap all together. There will be a live Q&A as well. If you guys want to ask us any questions, we are here to support a Q&A at the end. And feel free to throw them in as they come up. They're top of mind for you. I'll either cherry pick them or we'll make sure we cover your question at the end. There is a Q&A box. You can use that or just feel free to use the chat box. It's definitely easier on our end to just look at the Q&A box for questions so we make sure we don't miss anything in between all the other chatter in the chat box. All right, so let's kick off, Allison. You ready?
yep.
Okay. Um, you may or may not have already seen this statistic before, but we know that right now on Google, 60% of searches are ending without a single click. Why is this happening? Because Google is giving information right away in the form of AI overviews. And also, people are now using other tools by AI like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity to also do their own research. And they're having more conversations with these types of tools than really just browsing on Google. But it's going in depth, and both are reasons why we're seeing less clicks on Google. It doesn't necessarily mean less business. It just means they're getting to you in other ways. And those other ways are what we want to cover today and talk about. A lot of people are using ChatGPT right now. Over 900 million people are using ChatGPT right now to get answers. Here's a just kind of quick visual of the growth that ChatGPT has experienced since roughly September 2022. By the way, this is even a little outdated. We're now at 900 million. So we all know we're using ChatGPT or other tools like ChatGPT in some capacity. Specifically in our industry, though, what we do know from a survey of over 500 affluent American households is that 25% of affluent Americans are already saying, hey, I'm using a tool like ChatGPT to find a financial advisor. This is really important because we're not seeing as much advisors raise their hands to say, oh, I got found, but there is a growing body of them, and we see trends across, like, what are they doing well, what's working, what is ChatGPT looking for, that we'll definitely cover today. The first and most important part of that strategy, because it's a multi-pronged strategy, but the first and most important is getting online reviews. And so from first meeting to getting that 5-star review, what does that look like with Asset Map and Wealthtender? Really quick before we hop into like the asset map portion and starting there with that prospecting process before you get that review, I think it's so important as well that we cover like how are Americans actually looking for a financial advisor? Like what are they looking for when they search for an advisor? There's some interesting stats. I'm just going to highlight two. Over 80% of people want to read online reviews about financial advisors. And in the first stat on the top left, 96% of people referred to an advisor will research them online before actually making contact with them. So they're looking and using their tools, maybe a ChatGPT to do that. And Allison, I know you use ChatGPT, like we all use AI at this point for financial questions, but also above and beyond that as well.
Yeah, the thing that really stands out to me there is what we talk about so often, we'll get into in a few minutes, which is you're trusting this person, a financial advisor, you're trusting with some of your most personal and important information about your life, your family, your finances. You're worried about the future. You want to make sure you're going to make it in retirement. All these things that are inspiring a prospect to find someone to help them organize it. That is some really intense, it's an intense topic for a lot of people. And I often say, when I'm doing anything like this, I think we as financial industry professionals, whether you be myself, always on the financial planning technology side, Diana, consulting thousands of people, through the companies she's worked with, and then you all as, financial advisors, we take for granted the things that we already just know. We know that we need to think about retirement, how important an IRA might be in someone's situation. Insert, important topic here. Your clients just know that they have goals that they want to meet, but they don't even know sometimes the first place to start. And that can be a sophisticated client. It can be a high net worth client. It can be any type. And I'm frequently reminded of that just through my daily conversations. So what I'm getting at there is, of course, they're going to look you up. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they're going to do a quick search. They're not just going to say, yeah, let's see if I hit it off with this guy or gal and make sure that, we mesh maybe personality wise. They want to see some peer review. Someone in my position has had a great experience with XYZ advisor. And then immediately the guard is going to come down a little bit. So having that online persona is going to be so important to make sure that people feel comfortable with you even enough to say, wow, these folks have had such a good experience with, this advisor. I want to try my hand at working with them too. So
Yep.
that's it. I just always think about the how important and how sensitive a subject someone's finances are. And of course, you're going to review food. You're going to review if you're going to be
Your
comfortable working with
hair,
someone.
yes, HVAC company, all those things, right? Like everything has reviews now. People are looking to reviews, and not just in this industry is it growing in like, that sort of relationship based industry, but also attorneys, doctors, like this has existed for quite some time and it's definitely spilled into our industry. There's no question about it. And I agree. This is what people want to read. So what
100%.
exactly like are people even saying when they leave reviews about advisors? This is really important too, because this is also feeding back into tools like ChatGPT signaling what's important, right? Signaling sentiment and EQ, even, right? And so, real
So
client reviews, they tell us what clients actually find valuable in the relationship. And when a client describes it, this is something we call relationship alpha, right? Like beyond investments, what is the value of that relationship to that client? Very interesting information here. This is based on the analyzation of over 2,500 actual client reviews that clients left their financial advisor. And we can see here like what was prioritized in their comments, in the words, the language that they use, long-term relationships, loyalty, trust, peace of mind, financial planning. That's at the very top of that list. So if there's ways that you can bring more of that into your relationship, especially from that first meeting with that prospect, with tools like Asset Map, or even just, through the language that you're using, right? That's going to translate into that 5-star review eventually.
well, and you're not going to see things like investment rate of return or
Right.
things that you
Nope.
really can't control. It's going to be
Yep.
relationship based. It's going to be how well do they know you? Are they paying attention to what you really want?
Oh my gosh.
How have you helped maybe someone's elderly parents? All these things that are just so important, and all of these things pretty much that are on your screen right now are based on the one-on-one relationship with that firm and the advisor. I'm sorry, the firm and that client or prospect, and that's
Yep.
no coincidence.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I found this to be so interesting. And so, if you think about it, right, you have reviews that are going to be driving that AI visibility. But then from there, and you're having that first meeting with that prospect, that's where the relationship side comes in. That's where the
Yeah.
human side comes in. But that's also where you still continue to use technology to support your process. So I'm curious what your current experience looks like. And actually, I encourage all the advisors on this call after this call to do an audit. Go online, go on ChatGPT or whatever tools you're using and ask it, who are the, what are the top advisors in my area? Or can you find a financial advisor for me in this zip code, right? And just try to see like how does it stack you up? Where do you fall, right? So that's a good like take home audit for you. But we
Yeah, what a great
also,
idea.
yes, it's so important to do. Like, if anything, Google yourself. If you've never done that, please do that. But beyond that, actually go and have conversations with these tools and see what they say. Um, and then from there, we want you to also build this system, right? Like having that prospect, what's that experience look like? And maybe there's something that you can also go home after this webinar, go back to work, I should say, and start building out on that side as well. Um, I love this slide, by the way, Allison.
Thank you.
I love seeing it in action. Like it's just so pretty.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we anything that's like a GIF these days. I don't know if people maybe we should have made that a poll, GIF versus GIF. I'm a GIF gal, but
I'm
it
definitely
goes
gift. Yeah.
yeah, it just goes through some of the features of Asset Map. Are you kicking over to me now, Diana?
I'm gonna kick over to you now. Yeah. And
Okay,
then
great.
we'll dive deeper into asset map as well.
All right, let's do it. So, if you're new to Asset Map, if you came to us through your relationship with Wealthtender, Asset Map is a financial planning tool. We fall in that spectrum of financial planning where, we know that, due to even the survey Diana just shared, that's an extremely valuable topic. And really the way most advisors are delivering valuable value to their clients or prospects. And we are specifically going to hone in on a topic today that Asset Map provides called discovery. So we're really kind of thinking about that journey from prospect to client to someone who would leave you a great review for others to find. That's, the topic of the day. But we really are all about turning financial plans into visuals. So we all know that folks are visual learners, maybe more so than auditory or maybe more than reading even. They like to actually see something. And when someone sees their financial life in a visual for the first time, it's extremely powerful. I have a personal story that I'm going to share. It's a quick one, and I don't bring this out on every webinar, but it's perfect for this. I was at a company for a really long time before Asset Map, a little company called eMoney Advisors. Some of you may have heard of it. And one of the bigger financial planning tools in the space. They're brilliant. And when I left there, What did I do? I forgot to do something with my 401k. Have we all been there in the past? It sat, you knew it was somewhere safe. It wasn't necessarily being drained, but it also wasn't working for you either. And a colleague of mine who had also left the company and went on to become a financial advisor said, "Hey, have you done anything with your old 401k?" And I was like, "Sure haven't." And he's like, "Well, I can help you with that. I'm going to put you through a process to find out a little bit more about your finances. And listen, I am a pretty private person. The thought of sharing myself and my husband at the time's financial situation with a friend, someone I consider a friend, was very uncomfortable for me, to be honest. And did he not pop up an asset map report in front of my face
Wow.
a couple of years before I worked there? And I had seen it, I'd been familiar with it. And he said, "I'm just going to ask you a few questions about what you guys have going on, and I'll see what makes the most sense for you." And I said, "Okay." And I was like, "Give it a shot, Allison."
Yeah.
He pops up the asset map. I told this man everything I had going on financially because I was able to see that visual of my family, my work life, my investments, my mortgage all in one place. And I was like, well, I'm not going to tell him half the story. I want
Mm.
him to have the full story so that we can make good decisions together and make sure that we're on the same page. And I really felt like he was getting to the details of what he needed to know about my situation to give me the best advice. So I was given this, really kind of interesting introduction into a company that I end up working for and loving a couple of years later as a client. And that doesn't happen to just anybody. So I was really lucky to have that experience. But what I'm getting at is the comfort level that I felt immediately from being like, I'm not telling this guy everything, to then having an experience that made me realize he was looking for my best interest. Of course, he would anyway, he was a friend. I immediately let my guard down and shared everything important with him because I knew it was for the right reason. So it's a pretty cool experience to have. And I just am reminded of that with clients all the time. Diana, you can pop up to the next slide.
And I just think it's so cool how you have literally gone through this discovery process. You're
Yeah,
not just here from Asset Map to rave about Asset Map, although you should be raving about it because it's a great tool, but you actually went through that experience. And
it's
so
pretty cool. It's pretty
yeah,
cool.
I love that.
Thank
So
you.
firsthand experience. So let's do it. Let's kind of break this into two. As I mentioned, we'll dive deeper into that, like what happens in that first meeting. Then we'll talk a little bit more about the AEO side.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited for this. Allison, you take it away and you just tell me when you need me to flip the slide.
You got it.
Okay.
So again, visual financial planning is our thing. The asset map report over on the left-hand side is kind of what we're known for. If you're new to asset map and you're familiar with anything, it is probably that asset map report that, again, lays out the entire family in a really easy to consume way, whether you're looking at the business interest or the client and spouse, like we are in this example. I can change that visual to reference whatever I like. Maybe it's the client and their son who has special needs, or we're going to talk through that, or we're going to talk through how grandma might be involved financially. And I can change that visual to keep the conversation focused on what's important for that meeting. And it's truly amazing to watch how people, again, kind of uncover things that an advisor might not have even known about after many years of working with someone because of that comfort level. In the middle, you'll see welcome, Stephen and Kate. And that's what we're going to work on a lot here in a minute, is that direct client fact finder we have called Discovery. So why that's going to be really cool for us to talk about in relation to Wealthtender and online reviews is it's starting the experience of getting the client and the spouse involved in the process. They don't feel like they're just kind of watching it from afar and waiting for an advisor to give them a piece of advice. They feel like they're part of the process. They're actually adding value before the meeting even starts, which is kicking off that relationship in a really great and valuable way. And then, of course, after you have the data, we're going to find some ways to make sure that you're meeting the client's needs, that you're covering any gaps that they might have in their plan in a really easy, kind of super seamless way for you, allowing you to actually work with more clients, help more people, and make sure you're doing it at scale because we're meant to be that quick visual. Let's let people know if they're on track for their goals and not get into every tiny detail because not everybody needs that level of complexity. So you'll notice, kind of some charts there on the bottom right. That's going to let you know if you're on track for for any goal like retirement, a life insurance need. Maybe someone wants to see if they can pay for a wedding for their daughter in a few years. That's all going to be able to be solved for in Asset Map. But if we go to the next screen, let's focus in on discovery. So this screen here is actually going to kind of walk you through some of the things that we do in the discovery process. And I'm going to hop into the app in a minute and actually walk you through one live. But what we're doing is we're sending a link out to our client or prospect. In this case, let's think it's a prospect. And you're going to say, hey, Diana, I can't wait to meet with you and your new husband in a couple of weeks. I'm so glad we've been introduced. I would love it if you and Tyler were able to share a little bit more about yourself before you come into the meeting. Now, what is that doing? It's letting Diana know that this advisor is interested in getting to know her, find out a little bit more information, maybe not start off that meeting in person just cold and bringing in a few statements and hoping you hit it off. You're actually reaching out and saying, I would like to get to know you a little bit more through your perspective before that meeting even starts, kind of kicking it off in a really nice, easy to get to know each other type of way. And not only
It feels
that,
like the
yeah, go
advisors
ahead.
or sorry, it feels like the advisors like organized in that way too. Like I would
Oh,
expect you to do some pre-prep and or pre-meeting prep, and I would love if you sent me something where I could collaborate alongside with you, right? Co-create. And
co-create.
the level of competence there is very attractive to me. And so like that's what I want in my advisor too, right? So I
Love that.
love that example.
Co-create is the literal perfect phrase to use. And I've never used that in discovery before, but that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving the client or prospect that first pass at telling the advisor what's important to them, what they have. It doesn't matter if the client's off by $2,000, by the way, right? We can
Mhm.
connect that up later on to an integration or through client interview. So if you say, I don't know, I think I have a $150,000 life insurance policy through work, that's enough for me because
Yeah.
now I know, well, it's about 150. Who cares if it's 170? Is that enough? Or do we need to talk about supplementing that? Or, yeah, I've got the old 401k, like my example before. If I throw that in the chat in the discovery process before the meeting, that advisor now has two things. They have
Mhm.
information about that and they have permission to talk about it. And that is one of my favorite things about our discovery process is once the client or prospect shares it with you, you then as the financial professional have permission to ask more questions because they let you know about it. You weren't drilling them for information. They put it out there, they shared it with you. So really, really kind of just collaborative way, like you said, you're co-creating this together, and it's a beautiful thing. So let's hop to the next screen here. If you were to
Ooh.
actually take a picture of the QR code right now, that would take you to the discovery experience that your client or
Oh,
prospect could go through. So it's fun. You could try it out yourself, put someone fake in there if you want to, and just see if you like the experience. It's pretty nice. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes for your client or prospect to just give you whatever they feel comfortable with leading up to that meeting. And what is it doing? It's pre-building that asset map behind the
mm,
scenes. They're
yeah.
actually doing some data entry for you and they don't even know it. They're actually putting that map together for the first time. And then you can come in later and clean it up again, add a data integration. Once they become your client, you can throw everything in that's under management, but you still have that insight about what they have elsewhere as well. So that QR
Love
code,
that.
again, will take you to that discovery process that the client can complete. Okay, let's keep going.
I love that. I love how seamless that is. Like you don't have to download a CSV file and then go
No.
over here and start building it out. Like it's so quick and easy and done for you.
Download, absolutely not. There's no
Yeah.
downloading.
Okay. Love
And
it.
we like to say it's almost like a TurboTax experience. So for any of you who have, done your own taxes, maybe back when it was easy, and you were able to follow that process, and they say, "Okay, great job. Next," it'll actually, give you prompts to make sure that even the most maybe non-tech savvy client, they have no problem completing this because we make it
Yeah.
so easy. So
Yep.
again, just a couple stats, and then I'm actually going to hop in the app for just about 5 minutes to show you around. But it takes about 12 minutes to complete a discovery. 48% of people that open discovery complete it. And
Wow.
that's including two different ways. Something I haven't told you yet. You can use discovery in two ways. I can send it directly to Diana and Tyler, who are my prospects that are coming in, or Maybe I work on 401k plans. Here's a good idea. And my 401k plan participants actually a lot of times end up becoming my advisory clients. I can send a general link to 40 people through the business down the street that I manage their 401k plan and say, hey, I absolutely love working with you through your, your place of employment. If you're looking for help with additional work, for a financial advisor, fill out this form here. Let me know more about yourself, and I'm happy to meet with you. That is talk about prospecting. You can then see if they're a good fit for you, vice versa. Maybe if they're not a good fit for you, you invite that introduce them to your junior advisor or your more senior advisor. So you can, that 48% includes not only sending it directly to someone who I maybe already have talked to, but really just even a group of folks who might want to work with me as an advisor. So another great way to prospect. And we are collecting, boy, that billion, once you hit the billions, my brain can't even process it anymore, but 36 billion household finances have been collected annually by advisors using Asset Map's discovery tool. So we're
Wow.
getting a lot of great data for our advisors into the system. All right, Diana, if you want to pass over
Yeah.
controls to me, let's show everybody how easy this is, and we'll talk about how the experience is going to give folks an aha moment to then potentially ask for some great reviews.
We'll let you share.
Yep.
Okay, cool. You
All
take it
right,
over.
so there's three ways to get data into Asset Map, and today I tend to talk a lot about integrations, which are also great. You can always add them on later on, and manually is really just going to be what you would think it would be. If Diane and Tyler are in my office and we're going to do it together, I could hit manually and we could kind of do it via interview process. When I say manual data entry in Asset Map, I do not mean I'm going to get a prop that you're looking at a piece of paper and you're typing. It means that you're, doing that process with your client or prospect. So for
Okay.
today, let's do discovery. And you're going
I'm
to see
not,
that I've,
so I'm not seeing your screen yet.
oh,
Let me just stop sharing and let you start sharing.
all right, let's do it. Let me know when you're ready.
You're good.
Okay, good. So I came in and I
Oh
hit
wait,
add.
sorry. I still don't see your screen.
Oh,
Hang on. Okay, I think I know why. There we go. I had mine was like on another screen. Zoom always does a million updates, but I'm here. And if anyone else can't see it, let us know in the chat. But otherwise, I think I'm the only one. So go ahead,
okay,
Allison.
good. All right. Someone will tell us in the chat.
Thank you.
Oh, Brian can say thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Okay, we're good. So you can see I've done a few of these before. And I mentioned that you can send it out to a group or you can do it individually with one particular person in mind. This personal discovery link is made for you, for your firm. If you share clients with a couple advisors, we can set it up exactly how you like it at AssetMap. But if I just hit this like little launch here, let's do it. Let's pretend I say this is when we put our client or prospect hats on. So I'm
Okay.
going to say, I'm just going to use myself because I'll be able to type more easily. And I'm going to say gmail.com and we're going to hit continue. And I am in fact not a robot. And it's going to take, a couple seconds and we're good. Okay. So this is what your client is going to experience, and this is what's going to pre-build that asset map. So let's hit start now. We welcome them. Everything's great. And I'm going to say Allison, Susco, and female, and I'm going to make myself younger and 38, and I'm going to save. And I'm going to add a person. I'm going to add, who can I add? I'm going to add a sibling. Let's just make it interesting. I'm going to add Amanda Smith, my sister. And because anybody who matters financially could be in your asset map. So a
Yeah.
sibling, children, your spouse,
Mhm.
you get the point. A business, I'm telling you, this is great for business owners. So we'll make her younger too. And save. I could add as many or as few people as I want here. And what will that do? It will build out that top line of the asset map report of the folks who matter to you financially. We're going to tell you good job. We're going to give you, kind of some kudos along the way. And here's where it gets interesting. Yes, I have an income. I have a real estate property. I actually own a house with my sister. Maybe that's the scenario. I've got a couple loans, I have an insurance policy, I have a checking account. So you're kind of thinking about this like what actually lines up with what I have. And I say, "Oh, well, I don't have a business. Let's just move on." And they start filling it out. We're going to keep it super simple. Like I said, this is really just to get that conversation off to a great start. So we'll do a couple of these things and then I'll show you what it builds behind the scenes. So
By
we'll
the
call
way,
this,
while you were on that like earlier slide, it gave examples of the type of people you could add. I was going to highlight that because I really like that it does that. Someone just asked in the chat, do you add your business or fam as a person in discovery? And yes, it literally says you can add friends, family, business partners, like anyone who matters financially. So yes.
yeah. Absolutely. You want to make sure that when you pop that asset map report up in your office, on a big screen, on the Zoom, however you're presenting with your clients, that they see what relates to them. Because my
Mhm.
family looks nothing like Diana's family and looks nothing like, one of your families. Everyone's got a different scenario, right? And we want to make sure at Asset Map that when they're looking at that report, it reflects what they have, who they're
Yeah.
related to. Because if you show something that's not relatable, they're going to move on and think, well, this isn't really for me. So absolutely, you want to make sure you add the businesses, you add the business partner, you add other financial professionals. There's places in Asset Map to do that. And what else can that do? Speaking of online and the importance of referrals, they might introduce you to those folks because they're thinking about that as they're on their asset map report. All right, let's add a property, and we're going to have a rental property that me and my sister own. And I'm going to say that's worth $250,000, or maybe that's 2 million. I can't tell. Oh,
Wait, I think there's maybe one too many zeros. Yeah. Okay.
no, I just put it in the wrong place. All right. I'm giving myself a shore house because.
Woo. Yeah, why not?
So I'm going to do one more. You're getting the point. I'm going to
Yeah.
say we also have an investment, and it's Allison's, and she's got a Fidelity 401k.
Mhm.
So you can see this is not difficult, right? It's pretty seamless. Clients can absolutely handle this. We're not asking for holdings information or logins. We're not asking for logins. We don't want that information. We're just
Mm-mm.
getting to know these folks, and they're sharing what they're comfortable with. And
And it's so much more comfortable that way. I just want to say, like, it's so grueling to have to connect these accounts to these, financial planning platforms. I know it's a crucial part of the process, but it's not something I want to do right up front. And it adds a lot of friction. And I feel like this is just keeping it way more simple. Like, put in what you believe you have, we'll fix that later. But this is really just a starting point.
I agree.
Mhm.
All right, so we've done enough. I've added some information. You notice too, it's kind of keeping track of how much I've completed up on the top right. I can click done. And I'm going to leave a couple blank, but you know what? That's okay. It's going to actually remind the advisor at the end to ask them about it. So it's going to put a placeholder on that asset map report to say, hey, I noticed you mentioned you have a business. Tell me a little bit more about it. Well, I wasn't ready to show it, when I was doing the interview, but yeah, let's talk about it now. It gives
Yep.
that advisor a way to remind the client to ask them about it. Nice
Yep.
work. Now, I love this part. What else is on your mind?
Mm.
The hard investments, the insurance policies, they're all super important. However, wouldn't it be nice to know, if I'm just getting to know Diana and Tyler, that they're interested in saving for a major purchase, providing a legacy, and retirement planning?
Mhm.
Continue. Anything else on your mind? They can say, can't wait to meet with you, whatever they want. All done. We're going to throw confetti at them. We're going to say they did a great job. And by the time I log back into Asset Map as the advisor, let's put our advisor hats back on. I'm going to come in and I'm going to refresh my page here, just to make sure. You can see my little picture on the top right hand side, and right next to it, there's alerts. And we can see that Allison Susko just started a client interview, and a few seconds ago, Allison Susko has completed their discovery interview, and the Susko household was created. If I click on that, now just a couple other little points for those who love compliance like I do. There is a report you can download of everything they answered, so you can keep everything up to date and your files are good. But I can come up here and I can go, you know what? Let's check it out. Maybe I got an email, maybe my staff got an email. I'm able to then come in here and see what they told me.
Awesome.
So good process. Diana, you mentioned process before. A lot of people are putting this discovery link in their Calendly. Hey, before you come in and meet with me, I require, maybe they say it nicer, that you
Right.
fill this report out. before you come in. It's showing onus on the part of the prospect as well,
Yeah. It's
building
like
that good relationship.
I highly suggest, right, to make our meeting even better, right? More productive, better outcomes. There's always a good positioning for this.
I'm just being
And I
direct.
no, and I know your team, steps in to help out with that too. So that's wonderful. This is
Yeah, we have a great
beautiful.
team. We'll help you with this 100%. And if you have, just as another side note, if you have some kind of proprietary questions you like to ask, like maybe a few behavioral finance questions or, whatever you focus on, your niche at your firm, we can actually build you a little bit of a separate questionnaire within Discovery to make sure that you're capturing what is proprietary to your firm and what's important to you. So
Love
we've
it.
really built on this, and we want to make your first, kind of impression with the client so strong that we take this very seriously. So now, as the advisor, I can come in here and say, oh, okay. They mentioned that they want to purchase a major fund. They want to purchase something. Let me make sure to ask them exactly what they're thinking about purchasing. Everybody wants retirement security, but that's absolutely our topic. It looks like they've got some loans. Maybe she needed to ask Amanda what the loan amount was. So I'm just starting to think through what we can first do in that first meeting. And because I have this insight, it is so much easier. And the client opens up so much more quickly, like I
Mm,
did in that meeting with my old colleague, to say, wow, I really feel like we're already on the same page. We're off to a great start relationship wise because that's really what it's all about. And that's where you're going to get, the good reviews, and you're going to be able to ask folks to, kind of put themselves out there on your behalf to say their experience has been great. Kicking off in a great, really meaningful way with your client is going to get you to that review so much faster rather than just kind of showing them a bunch of charts and graphs that really don't mean anything to them. And this process of getting to know someone via the asset map report and our tool is literally giving delight to people that have never even known what to expect in a meeting with their advisor. So I'm going to stop sharing, Diana, and we'll hop back for a couple minutes into the PowerPoint and we'll take some questions soon too.
let's do it. I have two quick points. There
Yeah,
is,
geez,
let me see, wrong thing. Didn't mean to share that. Hang on. Let
that's all
me
right.
find
We like
out.
pictures. It's fine.
That's my other presentation. Uh,
I love it.
I'm knee deep over here. There we go. Okay.
No, no problem.
So, all right, I'm gonna share this. And I think what's really cool is I like sharing with advisors what other advisors are also saying about their experience, right?
100%.
So we're gonna look at some of that too. There was one other point I wanted to make as well. I think we have one question in the chat, really
Sure.
quick. If you have some details such as insurance information for the client, should you pre-fill the discovery for them before you send it? Can they
Ooh.
take it from there? What are your thoughts on this?
So the discovery link, that's a great question. The discovery link is going to be to create an asset map from the start. So they can't already be added into the system in asset map system before you send the discovery link. That is the initial setup. However, what is interesting maybe is, do you want to take that asset map report that they basically just pre-built for you with the discovery link and tweak it a little bit before they come in? Maybe you put a little more context in something, or maybe you add a couple notes to what they actually put in the asset map report. I absolutely think do whatever you think is going to lead you to that great conversation in that first meeting. You're the experts, not me. You know exactly what to do when it comes to handling your firm. What a really good question, though. I think if there's anything you could provide color on after they start that initial process, I say do it
Yeah,
because that'll allow you to focus on things that you don't know yet in your meeting. So, what a good question. Thank you for asking that.
love it. Yep.
So
Eric. Hey,
Eric is
Eric.
a friend of Asset Map and a tremendous advisor out of the Austin, Texas area, and he's been using Asset Map for a long time, and he's really turned to Diana's original point about making this part of your process. If you're doing something and repeating it all the time, makes it easier, makes you better at it, all the things that we already know. And Eric really begins every single process of creating an asset map with his clients, giving that insight first. So he was able to kind of shed the dreaded bring in your shoebox of statements or make sure you can log into all your accounts or all the things that just seem like very tedious homework to clients. We don't want to give our clients or prospects too much actual work to do before they
Yeah.
come in to meet with us. However, getting insight is a good thing. Make it fun, make it interactive, but don't make it feel like they're doing something that is like just way too hard to tackle. And that's where he was able to streamline this process by saying, hey, fill this out, super client friendly, share what you want, don't feel like you have to tell me everything. And, the proof was really in the pudding for Eric in that he was converting prospects into clients 40% more when he
Mm,
started using the discovery process.
that's
40%
huge.
jump,
That's
that's pretty
huge.
big.
Hmm. I love
And
it. Yeah.
he was getting clients that were good fits, both for them and for him. So not only did he boost his conversion rate because he was using this process of fact finding that was so much more easy to consume, but he
Mm,
was finding great fits for both him and for these prospects. And that's really what we want, right? We're not here to just get every client known to man. We want the client to be happy and we want to be happy serving them. And
mm.
it was a dual result for him.
It's amazing. I
Yeah.
love this next one too. Couple of good things here. I'm going to skip to this one really quickly because this was actually
Yeah, you
brought
tell
up.
that story, Diana. You found
Well,
it.
it was brought up in the AGC, which is a
Yeah.
private advisor community for financial advisors that I help run. And this is Justin. I won't share his last name, but he mentioned because we have advisors ask all the time, like, how do you like this tool? How do you like that tool?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
like recurring questions, right? So asset map came up and I was reading through what we had gotten back, and he said it's very good in first appointments, especially as at our firm, we encourage people to come as you are with little or no prep or as much as you prefer, right? Automatically offering like three different service
I love
tiers
it.
in just one thing.
Yeah.
However, if you'd like an initial opinion or observation on anything specific to your financials, well, we need to know more about you, right? So this is how he is positioning it. Please use this link to share specifics of your situation if you choose. Just keep in mind that Justin's going to be focused on asking about you and your family and learning
Oh,
about your story. And he may not even get to your financials at this first meeting. I think that's
yeah.
important too, right? Like this is so comprehensive and you use it as a tool, but you still also ask those other empathetic questions, right? That has to be part of your process, getting to know them, letting them talk, not doing all the talking. There's so much data on that as well. So I love
Oh,
this, Allison. I thought we should show this.
thank you for sharing that. I think it's great. And I think I specifically love the part about I'm going to be asking you about your family and learning your story. I mean,
Mhm.
if that's not disarming to someone who's potentially nervous about meeting with a financial advisor, maybe for the first time, I don't know what is. That's a really, really
Yeah, it's
great
good.
testimonial that I didn't even know was out there. So thank you for sharing that. And
It's
AGC is a great community if you all don't know
oh,
about it. But
thank
all
you.
right,
Thank
Diana,
you,
let's keep going.
Allison. Let's do it. I think let's hop in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you guys through. All right, we talked about the first meeting. How does that look? You can even test asset map out yourself. You got to hear a little bit about what advisors are saying about their experience with it. And now I want to focus on part two, which is 5-star reviews. For purposes of time, I'll probably talk for like 8 minutes, and then I promise we'll open up for you guys for Q&A. If I can squeeze it in faster, I will. But I want to make sure you understand this because um, it gets a little deep, but we're not going to go that deep. We're going to keep this really simple because I do think this is probably the most powerful way to optimize the digital marketing growth side of your business so you can get more prospects in the door to use asset map with. So it starts with online reviews, and that is it's so many things. It's social proof, people wanting to see what other people say, sentiment signaling, what are clients feeling and what are they saying in their actual reviews. But it's we know increasingly important and getting found in a tool like ChatGPT or Gemini or any of those other AI tools, answer engine tools. Step one, you have to send an email to all of your clients. So I'm going to just hit really quickly on this because it's compliance friendly. And when you ask all your clients, you're checking that compliance box that you didn't cherry pick anyone and just send it to who you think has a great relationship with you. So this is a sample template here that you can totally screenshot, you can use. We'll give you a copy of the slides at the end of the webinar today as well as the recording. But feel free to take any of this you want right now. You're just inviting your clients to send you a review, to write you a review, but you're also helping them see how it pays other people forward because now other people are going to read it and they might need financial help. And what would you say to them? It's almost that kind of position here. So send an email, all of your clients. But now let's actually talk about what to do with the reviews so that it optimizes your answer engine strategy. There's two things you need to understand here. When it comes to tools like ChatGPT picking you up, they're looking for two different pathways of content. The first is what we call, happy birthday. No, the first is what we call on-site answer engine optimization, which is any website, any pages that you own. So your website, even your social media to a degree. And then there's off-site AEO, which is anything else out there on the internet that features you. Directories of financial advisors like Wealthtender, any publication articles that you might have contributed to, whether in industry or out, the news, awards that you might have been selected for and promoted in those channels. Those are offsite examples. Both are really, really important. So when you actually get a review, make sure that you're doing it, you're putting those reviews on both on-site and off-site. The first example I have here is a website for Whitman Wealth, and they have their reviews feeding directly into their website. You can position this as many ways as you want. You can say, here's what our clients are saying about us, hear it directly from our clients, however you want to position that. Just make sure they do live on your website somewhere. And of course, stay compliant with it. You can see the example here is this is actually an embed widget from a Wealthtender directory listing. We'll talk about that next. That's the offsite. And we just add some code to the back of your website so that it feeds right into this beautiful feed. You can customize the colors, but you'll notice the actual review itself is compliant. We're not going to make this a compliance webinar. I have so many other webinars on the topic, but this is what you get when you use a tool like Wealthtender. And then her offsite AEO, so now let's check that box to put reviews on, is on Wealthtender. So she has a page. It dives deep into who she is, what you can expect in the first meeting. By the way, you could totally put your asset map prospecting link right there on your Wealthtender profile, and you can contact her, go to her website. You can book a meeting directly with Beverly here. This is the offsite bucket. Wealthtender.com is a consumer-facing website that consumers go to find an advisor. It's also a high domain authority website that ChatGPT recognizes and other answer engine tools and says, okay, this is credible. And if advisors are on this website, this credible website, then they're probably credible people, especially when they have reviews on their page, on the Wealthtender page and on their website. But specifically here, offsite, having those reviews is going to tell ChatGPT, all right, they're like checking multiple boxes here for credibility and reputation. All right, when you go to Google, for example, and you would search, like, what do people say about Whitman Wealth Management, going back to that firm, you see a couple things happening here. There's an AI overview that just starts telling you information right away. Interesting that it brings these designations up first. So that's another thing that it likes. But then over on the right, there's the actual links that this content was sourced from. And you can see Wealthtender popped up first, and you can also see her website popped up first because she has those reviews on her website as well. So AI snippets, search results, they're really pulling from both on-site and off-site. So we took to ChatGPT and we just asked, what do clients say of Beverly about their experience? And you can see these reviews were being sourced from Wealthtender. So even if you do have reviews on your website, which is important, sometimes too, ChatGPT just wants to source off-site websites or off-site channels, I should say, like the Wealthtender, or you might be on CFP board or NAPFA. There's so many directories out there. And if I'm an advisor, I'm going to be on multiple directories, but definitely Wealthtender. We do have just incredible authority in the space, and ChatGPT references us often. Here's what's interesting to me, and just kind of framing this opportunity. 83% of people want to read online reviews. We talked about that earlier. The most recent data we have on this shows that only 9% of advisors are actually publishing reviews online. So you have a huge opportunity right now to sort of step in, and like, this is a lot of white space where you can come in and feed into these algorithms, if you will, but also promote consumer transparency, social proof, what consumers want, right? They want to read reviews about you. And it's well past time that you're allowed to have reviews. Some of you, very few of you, might be state registered. You can't do reviews yet. If that's the case here, I'm very sorry. At least you're preparing for a strategy though, because there will come a time where your state flips from red to green light. And we know, because at Wealthtender, we've worked with a lot of these state regulators and we've helped make that happen. So it's coming. It's just, a few of you this might not be relevant to just yet. What about Google? I'm going to make a quick note on this and then move along. Google reviews are great. And I think they're also a headache, right? So there's like two sides to that coin. It's very interesting. On the one side, yes, you get the visibility. On the other, you also get the compliance headache because they're not really able to be promoted as is. They don't have disclosures on them. If you get a bad review or a fake review, it's really hard to deal with the Google team to get that removed. And it's just, I've heard more negative than positive. But if you do have them, having them alone is not enough. Like you should think about multiplying the offsite mentions of your reviews in addition to your on-site website. We have one of our members of the AGC, his name is TJ. He had actually had his reviews on Google. We noticed he didn't even come up in Gemini search results. Gemini is an answer engine that Google literally built, and his reviews didn't show up in Gemini. And so we imported them into Wealthtender because we do Google review imports. And literally, like within minutes, he started appearing in Gemini. So multiple offsite channels. I always say it's not enough just to have Google reviews. Any thoughts on this, Allison? I'll take a little quick water break.
I just learned so much too. And there's something I've been doing, and Diana and I can connect offline because these little tips that she is sharing with you all about how to optimize these things. Like I said, I'm in technology, I have been forever, and I don't know half of these things. So, Diana, I think we should do a really cool recap for everybody. I've been doing like interesting webinar recaps, and I think we could really call out some cool things that
Yep.
you just, because I feel like people are probably feverishly trying to remember what you're saying. Just
Yep.
absolute gems of information that's so
Oh,
valuable. Who would have thought that
yeah.
Gemini isn't picking up what Google reviews have? I mean,
Its
how would
own
anybody even
product.
know that?
Yeah, its own product. Yeah, it's wild. What I'm going to do for purposes of time, I'm going to skip through some of the next few slides, but basically I went on a hunt. Can you find the best financial advisor near me? And I really honed in on what came up first. And of course, who did come up first has reviews on their website, had a Wealthtender page, has reviews on the Wealthtender page. So really checking those boxes. I'll leave this up really quick. If you haven't even gotten your testimonial marketing strategy off the ground yet, now is the time. And I highly encourage you to start with our testimonial marketing playbook. We'll drop a link to this in the chat as well in a second. But if you have your phone and you want to snag this, here's the QR code.
Diana, real quick,
Mhm.
what would you break down the states of who allows this? Like how many? Is it like half and half, or what do you think?
Oh, great question. I'm gonna call on Brian for that one. He'll be in the chat. I don't think it's maybe it's like a 60-40, but Brian, please fact check me on that one.
Oh, nice. 35. We're getting there.
Okay. Yes. Okay. 35 states have approved online reviews with more to come. So
Great.
just curious, as we're talking about the topic, and then we'll move into Q&A, have you started collecting online reviews yet? Just to get a feel of the room. I don't always ask this question. I find it to be a little bit simplistic at this point because we're so deep into, all right, enough advisors have reviews now. Like, what do we do with them? How do we optimize them? But I know there's still a body of you as well who has not really gotten into this yet. So I'll share the results back, and 57% of you still haven't. So there's so much opportunity.
I love it. I don't love it, but I love it because
It's yes, eye-opening.
there, like when you said that there's just a whole wealth of opportunity out there to really stand out in a great way because not everybody's doing it yet. I think that's like one of the major takeaways of today is now's the chance. You've got some great tips, you've got tools to help you, and you're going to stand out. So really, really good advice from you today, Diana.
Oh my gosh, you too. I love what you guys have built. And, for anyone here who wants a quick recap, again, screenshot this. I'll send you the slides at the, probably within 48 hours. You'll get the slides and the recording back from us. But just use the visuals and tech, get those reviews. It creates a flywheel. Keep it going. If you want to learn more about Wealthtender, you can scan this QR code and you can sign up in less than 2 minutes. And there's a coupon code here for you guys. If you sign up by the end of the week, we'll give you 50% off your first 2 months. If you have any issues with that, just email us, yourfriends@wealthtender.com. We're always just an email away. And then for those of you who want to connect with Asset Map, Allison.
Yeah. Hit us up anytime. We have a great sales team, great customer support team. We make sure we get you up and running and know what you're doing. People will often say, like, can I use AssetMap tomorrow in a client meeting? Of course you can. It's very easy to learn, but we will absolutely make sure you're getting to the next level with it as well. So definitely reach out to us, see what kind of promos we've got going on, and we'd love to help you kind of get to that spot of reviews and do so much more for you as well. Take it into that financial planning aspect along the way.
Was your QR code showing the whole time?
Right after you switched from yours, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, I had my screen paused and I wasn't sure.
You did it perfectly.
If you're still here, hit us with any questions that you have, and I'll launch one last sort of exit poll just to hear from you guys one more time. We love to hear from you since we're only the ones hearing from each other right now, although I do love hearing from Allison. We like to hear from you too. I'm just going to launch a quick poll on what do you have next? Let's see here. Stop sharing. All right.
And there's a couple questions in the chat. Yes, AssetMap can help you translate kind of issues and what to do next. We take an approach of what you have, what you want, and what it means in our planning. And what it means is specific advice on how to get to your goals. And of course, we'll walk you through that. So yes, we will help you solve the problems. And as far as complexity versus non-complexity with financial planning, we like to stay on the non-complex side. And that's why we integrate with tools like we are AssetMap. We integrate with tools like eMoney, Money Guide, Orion, Nitrogen, Holistaplan. We've got great integration partners. So if you need to send them off to do something more complex, you can do both.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got lots of options for you. I love this question. What part of the flywheel are people going to focus on?
Yep. Launched a poll. We have another question. Does AssetMap integrate any client entered information into a CRM like Wealthbox?
We pull from Wealthbox, Redtail, and more, but we don't push to them at the moment. We kind of see them more as the kind of gold standard, the source of truth for the client data, and then we grab it from them. So that direction currently.
Yep. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Both. We love both.
That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for coming here and
Yeah.
joining us. Hopefully this was valuable for all of you guys. I know I learned a lot. Allison, every time you present on Asset Map, I learned something new. Obviously, I'm a big fan of you and the team.
Same
We've
here.
got
And
some love in the chat box here.
man,
Thank
your
you.
stats are nothing to mess with. You always come with the data, and I love that you always come with the data. And same here. I learned so much from your research that you're always doing, and the combo of AssetMap and Wealthtender is pretty amazing because you don't
No.
need a data integration to make this work. You can use
Yep.
both of these tools together starting tomorrow and
Yep.
really kick off some pretty incredible review options. So I encourage you to do that, and we'll help you along the way with however we can.
1000%. We're both here to help. Feel free to connect with us here on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think yes. Let me type this here real quick. I don't know if you want to type yours, Allison.
I
And
don't
I
even
know
know
we're a
if
little over. I know we're a little over time. Hopefully,
I.
folks don't mind. I just put mine in. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Stay part of any future content that we're going to be hosting on these topics. You can email the team at Wealthtender, your friends at wealthtender.com. And then ask Allison, what's a good asset map email?
Good. Hello at asset-map.com.
Yep. I do know that about your tool. Got the dash. Yes.
That's a long
Wonderful.
story,
Oh,
but
Allison, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me, for sharing all your stories. This has been awesome. I knew it
yes,
would go
and thank you to the man
amazing.
behind the curtain, Brian, who
Thank you.
was
Yes.
addressing questions throughout as well.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you as well. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you
Take
on the
care.
next webinar. Okay. Bye.